Hey parents, today we're here in East Texas and it is raining as we are at retreat. What is retreat and why do we do it? It's a awesome way for us to kind of start the year off with a spiritual emphasis. A reminder that we are a Christian school and we are not ashamed to present the gospel to students. It's awesome to bring in new students. So instead of meeting people in the classroom, they get to meet them up here at Sky Ranch, which is wonderful. And for our alumni, they'll tell you this is one of their favorite things about PCA that makes it different than all the other schools. So enjoy the conversation and enjoy the journey.
Parents, welcome to The Journey, a podcast to help you be the very best parent you can be. We are thrilled you are here and that we get to do life together. We are here to serve your family, and we're thankful you're joining us on The Journey.
Hey parents, welcome back to The Journey. We've got Eric Leiniger, Spiritual Development, Plano Campus, Justin McAdams, Spiritual Development at the North Campus. We're talking about all things spiritual development, including retreat. And I really want our parents, and this is kind of a thought from my perspective. Not only are there a bunch of new parents and new families coming in to the upper school, and we're going to take all of our students on retreat, and parents might be wondering, what is this thing? Why do we do this? But I also think, you could have had your kid here since pre-K 3. You walk into high school and your kids go on retreat. And so it's new for everybody, whether you've been here, for 10 years and your son and daughter is finally getting to high school and we're going on the high school retreat, or you're brand new and you've never been to PCA before. And so, gentlemen, parents are listening. Tell me a little bit about the philosophy behind why we do retreat. What do you think it is that kind of sets PCA apart in this regard, that we would take so much of an emphasis and place it on the idea of starting off our year, right, with a high school retreat? Eric, what do you got from the standpoint? This is a new role for you, but you understand the importance of retreat. Tell me why you think this is an important thing to do.
Yeah, I think, the term, be about it is the first thing that comes to mind. Like if we say this is what we do as a school from the spiritual side of things, the retreat is the be about it part, that we're going to show, like you said, kids that have been here from pre-K that are entering high school, or if you are a new family, that our goal as a school is not to just talk about the spiritual side of things, but to create an environment and opportunities for kids. I mean, things like spiritual emphasis, like setting the tone for the year, that your walk and your faith is at the foundation of everything that you're going to do that year. But also it's, you think about the lifelong discipleship process, giving, students and faculty a chance to connect, faculty with other teachers. And, we have new teachers that are coming and things like that. And so it just creates an environment early on at the beginning of the year to set the tone spiritually, to welcome new students, new families, new faculty, things like that. And then to do that at a place like Sky Ranch that's outside of the classroom, I think is a great opportunity.
Yeah. Now, Justin, you're kind of coming at this from the first time, really on this side of things, PCA staff. You've been a PCA parent and, sent your son and daughter off on retreat. What do you think is the important aspect of retreat and starting off the year with this spiritual emphasis?
Yeah, I love what Eric said. And just to kind of tag on to that, it's just a great opportunity for our kids to start the year off right. I love that it's one at the beginning of the year. It's obviously away from school. And you think about all of the things that we have to accomplish and the things that we want to communicate to our students and just all the things. To do that in a classroom setting in the school at the beginning of the year would be very, very difficult, especially from a relationship standpoint. So the fact that we get to take them somewhere else in a fun environment, not that it's about the fun, but to be able to allow them to disconnect, kind of get out of their normal rhythm and routine, get them there just so that they can kind of focus and have fun and really just build relationships with their own classmates, with their staff and teachers, and really talk about the spiritual emphasis for the entire year. Whenever you do have their attention, we have worship and we have speakers come in. And so it's just a great opportunity to really set the tone right for the beginning of the year. My kids always look forward to it. It's just a great time because they've been going through summer for so long and they're just anxious to get back with their friends. It's a great opportunity for them to hang out, just have conversations. And so it's really, really cool.
Yeah. I've talked to parents over the years. And so I guess I've probably been to 20, 22 retreats over the years. So, it never gets old though. Because, my concept is, as both of you guys have said, we're taking students, we're getting them away from the distractions, right? We're allowing them to go and have a good time, right? See the friends that they haven't maybe seen, over summer, connect with new students, which is a great environment to connect with new students instead of sitting in math class and kind of looking over there and like, who's that?
Yep.
You get to meet them, you get to interact with them, you get to know them a little bit, and staff. Your first couple of days aren't just sitting in somebody's math class, kind of looking up and going, who's that, right? You get to kind of do life with the faculty, which I love. But for me, it's always that reminder of there's always a few kids who, dedicate their life to Christ at retreat. They get to hear the gospel. Maybe you've heard it 1,000 times before, but it finally makes sense to you. The Holy Spirit opens up your eyes, lives are changed. Or maybe you're coming from a place where you've never heard the gospel before. And just a great reminder. But over the years, I've talked to parents, and they're kind of like, hey, we got a Bishop Lynch coming up on Friday night, and taking students away from athletics and arts and all academics, all the different things, to do something like a retreat really could be a problem, right, for those other things. And I'm always like, here's the deal, right? That may be true, or it might be just the opposite, right? It might be just the opposite, that when your son and daughter goes to this particular retreat, they get their framework on what's really important actually reset. And they get to focus on, hey, what really is important in life, right? Is winning that game on Friday night the most important thing in life? And the answer is no, it's not the most important thing in life. Is it important in the temporary and in this particular moment? And the answer is yes. But the concept is we at Prestonwood Christian Academy, we answer the big questions of life as well as the temporary questions of life, right? So we're teaching kids, hey, what's the square root of 81? Anybody know the answer to that? Right. 9. There you go. Look at that, man. Your wife's a math teacher. She'd be proud, right? Yes. And we teach them, who's the 16th president, right? Anybody know that one? Lincoln. Good. See, yeah.
Well, you didn't give me enough time to answer.
You had it, right?
Yeah.
But here's the thing, right? Knowing the answers to those things, right? I can Google that now, right? I can look those things up. But where did we come from, right? Where are we going, and what's our purpose in life? Those are the big questions that all the other schools and all the other kids that are going to different places, they're not being able to answer those questions. And so we do more than just great academics, great athletics, great arts at PCA. We deal with the essence of who we are, whose we are, and what's our purpose and meaning in life. Parents, we are here in the lobby of Prestonwood Baptist Church getting ready for our Biblical Worldview Conference, which is coming up September 28th through the 30th. And you got to check this out. Parents, we want you to attend as well. This isn't just for our students. It is the best biblical worldview conference in the country. We've been doing it for over 20 years, and we bring in the best and the brightest speakers from around the country to help our kids understand what a biblical worldview is and why it's important to develop one. But parents, you are invited, and we want you to be here. We're here at retreat with Hallie Palmer, a sophomore. What's their favorite thing about retreat?
Getting closer with Jesus and closer with my friends.
And what do you like to do while we're here at Sky Ranch?
The lake is really fun, and board games with my friends.
We're here with Ian Nunnenkamp, sophomore. Why is a retreat important to you?
I think it's a great time to connect with friends, get closer to God, and just have a great time.
What are your favorite memories from maybe a past retreat or two?
I love playing pool basketball. I think that was my favorite time. Just dunking on everybody's
there you go.
Best time.
That's awesome. Thanks, Ian.
Hey guys, this is Justin McAdams. Hey, I've got Cole McCaffrey here, a senior. We're here at Upper School Retreat. Hey Cole, tell me a little bit about retreat and what does it mean to you?
For me, it just means getting to reconnect with my friends that I haven't seen really all through the summer, and then kind of getting back into really a kickstart for school and a spiritual, not necessarily revival, but just getting back into the rhythm of a PCA Kingdom school.
Yeah, I love that. So tell me a little bit about the why. Why do you think that we come away from school? Tell us a little bit about why we do this. What do you think?
I think a little bit, as I mentioned, just getting to reconnect with some guys we haven't seen. Definitely just getting back into the right mindset of, getting connected back with God if we've been, travel ball, anything vacation over the summer. But definitely just getting in the right headspace for a new school year.
We're here with Tyler Shaw, a junior. Why do you think retreat is important? What do you like about it?
So I like retreat because it's really just a fun time to connect with other friends. And at my old school, this was just something that we've never done. And it was more focused on academics. So I just like that, this new aspect of just going out to retreat and connecting with different people and new students as well. It's just very fun.
As a new student coming in, it was a great way to connect, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome. We're with Jillian Bryant, Dean of Students. Why do you think retreat is important?
Oh, I love retreat. Retreat's just it's a great time to have a spiritual reset before the beginning of the school year, to build relationships, especially with new students. As staff, we get to know them, we get to catch up with each other, and it's just the best way we could possibly start our year.
All right, I've got Rocco, a junior here at PCA North. And as far as retreat goes, tell us a little bit about what retreat is.
So retreat is kind of just a time that we get to reconnect. We've been away all summer, and before this is just growing fellowship as we have to move on this year, and then we grow closer to each other. It's just a catalyst, helps us to do that.
Absolutely. And tell us a little bit about the why. Why is retreat important to kick off the year?
I think something that's really stood out about previous senior classes is just how close they've been. So I think just as students, we should all strive for that, and I think that's just how we're going to grow closer to God, and we can always have people that we can run to when we're struggling with things. So yeah.
That's good. And the theme this year is the way, the truth, and the life. What does that mean to you?
I think it's good for us to remind ourselves just how serious that really is, and how strict that almost is that the only way to a righteous life is going to be through God. And not only do we see this when we're out and about evangelizing, but we see this just in our daily lives. And as a class, we want to remind ourselves that in order to have a righteous life, we need to remember that Jesus is the only way. And so acting like Jesus and doing what Jesus would do, whether that's serving each other or just being kind to one another.
You're at retreat with Alex Bellamy. What's your favorite thing about retreat from the staff perspective?
From a staff perspective, I love that we are getting these kids outside of their comfort zones. They're being forced to make new relationships if they're new, to build friendships, to get to know other people, teachers, staff, everyone.
Looking forward to having your son here next year as a freshman. How do you feel about that?
I actually hadn't thought about that until right now, and that will be a really cool experience. Just getting to see him and his friends in their element, going outside, having fun together, experiencing all the things that retreat has to offer. There's just nothing like it, and so that's what makes PCA so special.
All right, I have Amanda McVicker, our athletic trainer here at PCA North. Amanda, what has retreat meant to you as an alumni and staff?
Yes, so now getting to come back as a staff member is really special. I get to see the impact that retreat has as we begin the year. We just sent our seniors off, and that was really fun to kind of kick off the year. And for me personally, it's really special. I was not only went to retreat here as a high school student at Prestonwood, but also as a camper at Sky Ranch. And just behind me is actually where I came to know Christ and was saved. So it's always very special for my faith to come here and kind of relive that moment. The impact that retreat has on our upper school students is immeasurable. Just kick off every year in a place where we can kind of get out of the classroom and get out of the norm and really focus on the main thing, which of course is Jesus and our love and our faith for each other. Is incredibly special. These kids get to have fun and games and play, but they also really dial in on what it means to be at Prestonwood Christian Academy and really live the mission and really show the love of God to each other, but also to faculty. Watching these students grow and learn, even just in the short time that we're here, is a very unique experience that really very few other schools have the opportunity to do.
Hey parents, that was incredible to hear about the testimonies of what our students think about retreat, and I love that. Retreat is such an essential part of what we do here at Prestonwood Christian Academy, but there is more happening in our spiritual development offices, both at the Plano and the North campuses, with what Eric and Justin are doing. What's the rest of the year look like in terms of an intentional focus and energy towards the spiritual maturity of students from pre-K all the way through 12th grade, right? Eric, what are you guys looking to do right on the Plano campus this year that our parents really need to know about?
Well, a lot. Before I answer that, I want to say one thing. Just you made me think of this. I was talking to Dr. Hibb yesterday, and I don't remember the exact quote that he shared, but he was talking about how, if a team with doesn't have chemistry. You can have great individual players, but teamwork is going to overcome that at some point. And I think the retreat, from a PCA upper school standpoint, middle school obviously does a retreat too, is what sets the team chemistry.
Yeah. So true. So true. Culture eats strategy for breakfast.
Yes.
Super important to create that culture.
Absolutely. And the other thing too, I think about, when I was at Cedarville, and playing basketball there, I couldn't tell you, there's maybe like 3 or 4 games in 4 years that I could tell you about, like specific things that happened in the game.
Mm-hmm.
But I could tell you everything that happened on bus trips and overnight, games and hotels and restaurants and things like that. And that was what today, when I still talk to those guys, we don't say, hey, do you remember what happened, halfway through the first half of this game? We don't talk about that. It's, do you remember when we were in New York for the weekend, and that kind of stuff. And so I think the retreat also gives the kids an opportunity, because they might not remember certain things, like you said, some of those questions about the square root and all that kind of stuff, but they're going to remember teachers. They're going to remember classmates and things like that.
Yeah, which is awesome too. Going back to the seniors have their own special time, which I love. Right, so seniors, right, as a class, go off and do something on their own. I love all the high school being together for some things. That's awesome, but really, the seniors having an opportunity to really start off their senior year, kind of setting the tone for what kind of year do we want this to be, and honestly, they take that so seriously. They want to lead well, right? They've seen other senior classes in their time in high school, and those who have led well or those who haven't, right? And they're kind of like, hey, now we're seniors, and we really want to do this well, and we really want to create a culture, as you said, create a community, where we can elevate the things that are important. And so just that standpoint is such an incredible part of retreat that a lot of parents don't even think about, right? My 9th grade is going off to retreat at Sky Ranch. Yeah. And right, all these other things are happening at the same time. So it's a really cool, environment. I'm glad we do it.
Yeah. Well, and then back to your original question, as far as the year. So obviously the chapel programs for 5th through 12th grade, they're going to be going through the book of James.
Okay.
And so instead of kind of bouncing around, hopping around different places, different topics and things like that, we're going to go through a book of the Bible this year and study that. And so all of the speakers that are being brought in are being invited to teach on different topics in the book of James out of specific verses that the kids are going to be learning. And then obviously our gender specific discipleship programs that start in 4th grade with the breakout sessions that meet 5 times a year. Pride of Brothers and Society of Sisters in the middle school, that's 6 times a year. And then the For the Girls and Man Up. Shout out Dan for coming up with that name for the boys. And so those different discipleship programs that will take place through the year in addition to the chapels.
Yeah, super, super excited about that. What, Justin, North Campus, what do you guys got going on this year?
Yeah, we're just excited about this year. We're excited to we just want to focus on relationships. We want to give our students opportunities to build relationships with their fellow students, their classmates, their staff, their coaches, their teachers, and just be able to put those in an environment and where those can be just led to gospel conversations where they get to just biblically discuss kind of the hot topics of the day and the issues that these students are going through. Like Eric said, we have a lot of programs like chapel. We're going to do something a little bit different this year with our Pride of Brothers. We're actually going to integrate that into our Dads on Demand. So at North Campus, We're going to do Dads on Demand on campus this year, 6:15 a.m. on Wednesdays. All dads are invited. But the last week of the month, we're going to bring in our boys, middle and upper school, and kind of go through that same curriculum that Eric talked about. And we're really excited about that so that our dads can do that alongside with our boys. We're also going to add a new element as well. We're going to add athletic chaplains. So what we're going to do is we're going to take key leaders from our school and church and assign one per team sport. So those people can, so those leaders can build relationships with those individuals on those teams. because a lot of times our sports in those situations, there's a lot of gospel conversations that can be had in those specific moments that come up that are just real life. And so we're excited for those guys to be able to build relationships and just be able to pour into those athletes. And we're looking forward to that as well, too.
Man, I love that. I love the spiritual emphasis, the intentionality, both at the Plano campus and at the North campus, just on the importance of chapels. But it's more than just chapels. It's spiritual conversations. It's building relationships. Allowing coaches, right, faculty, staff, all the different individuals here, to be reminded of the importance of those spiritual conversations with our students. And that's what I love is, and, Eric, you said this when you were talking about just, thinking back to your, time at Cedarville, right? It's the relationships, it's the conversations, it's building that community, where you may not remember a specific, event or a specific time period with this or whatever, but the people, right? You remember the people. And that's the number one thing when we talk to our alumni. What do they love most about their time at PCA? They always talk about the faculty and staff, the relationships that were built, the community that was built, the fact that, and we're talking about, a second grade teacher, a seventh grade teacher, a high school teacher, all the way through. Those relationships are built. My last, of our 4 kids just graduated. And it was funny to watch them because, they've all 4 been lifers. And as Campbell was going out for his senior year, a lot of those kids who were lifers went back and spent some time with, the pre-K teachers and first grade teachers and second grade teachers. They a lot of them had Jan Jeffco, right, who's the lower school principal now, and they had her as a teacher. And so it's fun to go back and see the men and women that have invested in your life, that have trained you up, that have loved you well, that have taught you well. But it's more than just about, teaching you academics or a subject. It's teaching you about life and how to, live out your Christian faith and what it looks like. And we have so many great men and women on both campuses that just do that so well. And so just what a blessing it is. I'm so glad you guys are in the positions that you're in to lead these particular efforts. But I'm also glad that you're surrounded by a bunch of great people to walk alongside of our students and put these things into practice. So, yeah, any last words for our parents just about just the spiritual emphasis for this year?
I was just thinking as you were talking, the kindergarten circus came to mind when they do that interview with the kids, seniors that were in the kindergarten circus, and they're like, I had so and so in class. And yesterday when we were going around in the afternoon for our spiritual development training, it was very interesting sharing with the middle school. There's obviously connected to the lower school because we're getting those 4th graders coming in, and then we're in the same building as the upper school. But it was interesting yesterday when we were sharing with all of the divisions about 4th grade breakouts, Pride of Brothers, Society of Sisters, and then For the Girls and Man Up. It was amazing the reaction of the lower school and the upper school, because you have the lower school teachers that are pouring into these kids, and then they send them to this side of the campus, and if they're a new teacher or they had a kid and so, one of their students doesn't come and visit, they didn't know how in depth Pride of Brothers and Society of Sisters was. They didn't know about, For the Girls and Man Up. Some of them did, if they've had kids and stuff like that. And then vice versa with the upper school staff, not knowing that our gender discipleship goes all the way into 4th grade.
Yeah.
And so just seeing the overall connection of the school and the training and the discipleship. And then you have obviously the retreat that's just pivotal in what we do over the course of the year.
Yeah, love it. Justin, any last words?
To our parents, I would just say discipleship starts at home. And my goal is really to educate, equip, and empower our families to be able to disciple their families well in following after Jesus. And I know there's so many programs, there's so much, but we do offer a lot for our parents. We have resources. We'll meet with you one-on-one. There's all of the programs, multiple ways to get involved. And I know that it's a lot, and I know that it can be overwhelming. Just contact us. Send us an email. we're happy to reach out and really connect with you any way that we can. And for any specific approach that you're looking for, we're happy to help out with giving you resources so that you can disciple at home, as well as what we do here at churches.
Yeah, that is the mission of PCA, to assist Christian parents. And so parents, this podcast is for you, right? These things are to let you know what's going on at school, but also what needs to be going on at your home, right? The discipleship that we're doing here at PCA is just an extension, right, of what's happening in the home and in the church. And when the home and the church and the school are all working together, it can be such an incredibly powerful, tool to really help shape and train and mold a young person right into the image of Christ. And so, we don't want any of those three things. Parents, make sure you're doing this at home and training up your children, modeling the way for them, but also make sure that you're plugged into a great church that's teaching the Word of God. That's that you're there on Sundays. And I always say, if you're at a church and you don't show up on a Sunday and somebody doesn't miss you, you're not doing it right. Right? You need to make sure that you're there, you're plugged in, you've got a group, right? A community group and people that are serving alongside of you. And I know you guys do that, and you do that so well, but we want to make sure that our families are doing that and plugging in as well. So I just say for you guys, keep up the great work. I'm so excited about this particular year, excited about retreat and what it's going to look like. Our students, not only do they love it, but it is amazing to see just the changed lives that come back from that. Of kids having that spiritual emphasis, and then they get, they hit the ground running when they come back into the classroom. So it's a great way to start off the year. And I appreciate all the work that you guys have put into it over the summer, so that we can have a great retreat experience. So appreciate you, Eric. Appreciate you, Justin.
Thanks, Dan.
Thank you, Dan.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Thank you for listening to this episode of The Journey. We hope this podcast provides information to help you raise your children, and it would help us tremendously if you would like, subscribe, share, and review this content on your favorite podcast platform. It is our pleasure to provide this information to our community, and we look forward to our next time together on The Journey.